Hello, everyone. Welcome back, my friends. I hope you're all well, and I send you my best. I welcome all my wonderful subscribers and commenters, all the new subscribers, and I thank them as well for joining my channel. Now, there's been a blind item that's come out recently, and my goodness, you know, things are getting very, very weird, and perhaps we're getting closer to some form of truth about Chris Cornell's death. Now, this blind item came out Friday, February the 2nd, 2018, and it's called Four for Friday, A Family Member Speaks. I am not going to go into the whole, to reading the whole blind. It's not very short. It's quite a few paragraphs long, but I just wanted to mention it to you guys and give you my analysis of it. Now, what it's basically saying here is that um, a family member of, in my opinion, it is Monica Peterson. It's a family member of Monica Peterson's. Monica Peterson um, was a human rights and human trafficking expert who had studied human rights and had studied human trafficking from the University of one of the universities in Colorado, and she worked in probably the most dangerous area that one can work in today, which is to investigate human rights abuses. And she went to Haiti. Now, she went to Haiti in November of 2016. She was in Haiti and investigating human rights violations. She died, and she died in, I believe it was the 13th of November, if I'm not mistaken, in Haiti. And apparently she died of a suicide by hanging. Her body never was given back to her parents. Um, and there was a lot of um, just controversy around her death and what happened and all of that. But if you go and research Monica Peterson, you'll know that this woman was really taking on very dangerous endeavor by going and investigating these child trafficking rings. So she died, but she had USB drives that she had placed her information and her research on. Now, according to this blind, I'm just going to paraphrase it. According to this blind, she had mentioned Chris Cornell in some of the information that she left behind, that she had left, to her parents or her friends or people that she trusted. And um, on these USB drives was Chris Cornell's name. This is according to the blind item. So, apparently the person that looked through these USB drives and information saw Chris Cornell's name and contacted Chris Cornell and asked him if he would be interested in seeing this information. And he basically was going to be in Denver because I assumed that the person that has this info is in Denver, which is Monica Peterson's hometown. So she contacted Chris Cornell and told him that she has this information and his name is on it. And perhaps Monica Peterson wanted to give Chris Cornell the information because Chris Cornell was working with human rights, with child trafficking, raising awareness, using his voice and fame to bring awareness to this very disgusting issue and problem, the problem of human rights, trafficking of humans, babies, and all kinds of disgusting things that are done in the world to innocent people and children. So perhaps Chris Cornell, given he was high profile at the, with the charitable work that he was doing, she felt he was someone that would be able to bring awareness and help with this problem, exposing it. And somehow the dark forces that control all of this found out. Now, how could they have found out? They could have found out because perhaps Chris Cornell's house, his phone, his computer were all bugged and he was being surveilled. They had him up on, the world stage working for human rights and raising awareness, but they also could have had him surveilled behind the scenes to make sure that, he was doing what he was supposed to be doing, because we all know from the memo that illegal surveillance and wiretapping is a common thing these days. So this is a possibility, in my opinion, that Chris Cornell was being surveilled. They did intercept some kind of a message from the relative of Monica Peterson who contacted Chris Cornell to give him this information that Monica had left behind. This could certainly be related to the talk and info that came out about Chris Cornell having a black book and exposing names and things like that, that was spoken about when he died 8.5, almost 9 months ago. So perhaps they also, through the wiretapping, realized that Chris Cornell had told Chester Bennington. Maybe they overheard it on the wiretapping that they were speaking, and that Chester Bennington was also aware of this information that Chris was going to obtain from this woman or person, because we don't know if it's a woman or a man. And before he was able to obtain this information, he was murdered in Detroit. Now, it ties in my opinion, with all of the Black Book, Jeffrey Epstein and all of that, and there's way more to the Jeffrey Epstein connection to the Haitian human rights violations and all of that. And perhaps this was what happened, and Chris Cornell lost his life because of this information that he was going to obtain. Now, in the last paragraph of this blind item, it says, and I quote, "Fast forward a few months. This A-list singer had been in touch with a woman who says that one of the last things the investigator wrote was related to the singer. This woman had no idea what half the stuff on the USB drive has to do with anything, but would the singer be interested? The woman is in the town where the investigator was living prior to her trip and death," meaning Denver. Yes, the singer would be interested and is going to be in that town in a couple of weeks, and they can get together. A few days before the singer arrives in town, he is killed. Now, this to me is about Chris Cornell. It's about the concert that he was going to perform. It's documented on his Soundgarden tour that he was going to be in Denver, and he died just a few days before the concert in Denver. And the fact that the blind item from Enty um, says straight up in the last sentence, a few days before the singer arrives in town, he is killed, confirms to me that Enty knows some information here. There's information about Chris Cornell being actually killed. So I will link this article, blind item, and there's also an article on Monica Peterson that I read that I will link below. It's very informative, and you guys can go and read it if you want as well, and make up your own minds as to what this means. But I believe that there is someone out there that has information about Chris Cornell and what happened to him. So I'm hoping that more info comes to light so that we can at least find some closure about the death of Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington. Now, Chester Bennington's wife has come out and she's spoken about suicide and depression in a video, and that video I will link as well. I don't know what to think about her and what she said in the video. She's presenting herself as the Sharon Stone and Basic Instincts or whatever the movie she did. Very short skirt, her legs crossed. God forbid she'd uncross them in front of the camera. But nevertheless, it is what it is, and those people are who they are. But she spoke about Chester Bennington being disturbed and depressed and wanting to kill himself and having had attempted to take his own life before the day of his death, and how he was happy, he was fine, and left to go home from Arizona where they were all having a vacation. Now, my question to that is, if they were always together, because she says in the video they were always together and together on tour and everything, why would she let him go home alone that day and not accompany him with the whole family? What would be, he had work commitments, yes, but if they were always together, why weren't they together that night? It's the same story that runs with Vicky and her claims that they were always together, and they were. They never left Chris Cornell's side for a minute. On tour, off tour, everywhere. So why on that night they weren't there? Their partners, their families weren't with them. Same with Cornell in Detroit. Why wasn't anyone there with him that night? I don't know. But it's odd to me that these wives come out and say that they were always with their husbands, but yet on the night that they both died, they were not with their husbands. And they were in other cities, both of them. Vicky was where she was in another city, not in Detroit, and Talinda was in Arizona, not where her husband was, which was California. Those are just some of the questions that are, that can be raised. I'll leave it at that for today, you guys. I don't want to run over the 15 minutes because I can't put it on my other channel. I welcome your comments. Thank you, my friends, for all of your support. And I wish you guys all a wonderful day. Stay well. Until the next time, thank you very much.